Hey guys, it's Courtney from the Carolina Farmhouse, and welcome to What We Eat in a Week. I'm going to take you along with me with 5 dinners that we eat this week and show you the recipes, show you how I make them, and I hope you enjoy it. So for tonight's dinner, I'm going to be making turkey patties, some brown rice, and a salad fresh from our garden. Chris and I have been doing a clean eating challenge for the month of February. We did 30 days of clean eating, and it was so great. We felt so good, and turkey patties were like a quick go-to. I could make up a bunch of them, and we can eat them throughout the week. So I'm making some of those tonight. That's what we'll all eat tonight. And then I'll add in the brown rice and the salad. All right, one of the first things I'm gonna do, since the turkey patties don't take super long to cook, is I'm going to get my brown rice going because it will take about 20 minutes. So with rice, generally you use 2 cups of water to 1 cup of rice. So I'm gonna cook 2 cups of rice, so I'll have 4 cups of water in here. And you always add your rice in before it comes to a boil. I've noticed that makes my rice less like clumpy and sticky. So I'm gonna add some salt. Grab a spoon real quick. So I'll just give that a stir. Another key that I always do with rice is I stir up until the point of boiling, and then I turn it down and cook it, and I don't stir it again until it's completely done and has cooled a little bit. If I stir it while it's cooking the whole time, it gets really mushy. So if you have mushy rice, maybe try that and it'll help. All right, so for this recipe, I'm using ground turkey and some Worcestershire sauce. Normally, the best turkey patties that I've ever made, I use green pesto sauce, like in a jar. But of course I'm out of that for this week, so I just used some Worcestershire sauce to add some flavor. So I'm just going to open this up and put it in my bowl. This is kind of a big slab of turkey, so I'm going to cut it in half to make it a little bit more manageable. And next I'm just going to add some Worcestershire sauce. You'll learn quickly that I don't really measure anything, so I would say that was probably 2 to 3 tablespoons. So I'm going to mush it all together. This is the grossest part to me, handling the raw meat. And then I will cook these. I'm gonna go ahead and get my cast iron skillet warmed up. The key to cast iron is heating it up before you use it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that heated up while I make the patties. Okay, now that my rice is boiling, I'm gonna stir it one more time, turn it down to medium-low heat, and I will put the lid on, set a timer for, I usually set it for 15 minutes, and then come back and check to make sure, I just check to see if there's any liquid in the bottom, and that's how I know that it's done. So this will just sit, I don't have to do anything else with it until it's ready. This is olive oil. I'm just going to put a little bit on the pan. Since turkey isn't like a super fat-filled meat, it just might stick a little bit. All right. These are very soft. Also, I have a piece of lettuce stuck on my finger. So for meal number 2, I'm gonna be cooking chicken fajitas with bell peppers and onions. I usually make my own taco seasoning, so I'm gonna be using that as a flavor on my chicken breast. I'll show you guys how I make that. The bell peppers are actually from my garden last year that I froze, so that's kind of cool. And I have cilantro and lime as a garnish. And a way we're gonna make this meal a little bit healthier is we're gonna cut out the tortillas all together and just put it on a bed of lettuce. So kind of like a chicken fajita salad. So first things first, I'm gonna make my taco seasoning. So if I was making chili, the predominant spice would be obviously chili powder. Since this is fajitas, I'm just gonna use a little bit of chili. And don't be mad at me, I don't measure, I just eyeball it. So gonna add some chili powder, about that much, some cayenne pepper, some cumin. Cumin is my favorite spice, so probably I'm gonna take this off. I'll probably add the most cumin, so about that much. I know that I probably drive y'all crazy with my non-exact amounts, but I is who I is. Okay, the salt, some onion powder, and then some garlic powder. So I just mix this up, and this is kind of the coloring it'll be. So I'm gonna open up my chicken breast and I will rub this on both sides. I'm also going to get my skillet warming up so it'll be ready to cook. I have nosy children watching me. So these are thin sliced chicken breasts, which will make this process a lot easier. If I had regular chicken breasts, I would probably butterfly them just to make for quicker cooking time. You really don't need that thick of chicken. For fajitas, you kind of want the thin slices. I'm just gonna cut this part off. So we're gonna rub our seasoning on both sides of the chicken breast. And flip them over and do the same thing because we want flavorful chicken. All right, and while this is cooking, I'm going to put some lime juice in there. If you roll your fruit a little bit, it'll help the juice to come out a bit easier. I love the flavor of lime juice. I've got my bell pepper in the freezer. I'm gonna grab my onion. I keep my onions in the refrigerator because I feel like they keep better that way. All right, while my chicken's cooking, I'm going to slice my onion. Get the peeling off here. Okay, I'm not gonna dice my onion. I'm gonna keep it in these rounds. I may do half circle rounds, just so that they'll go well with the fajitas. Okay. All right, so these are ready to be sauteed. I'm gonna flip my chicken. Okay, when my chicken is very close to being done, I'm gonna sit it on the cutting board and let it rest for a second before I slice it. I'm gonna add a little bit more olive oil. And now I'm gonna saute my bell peppers. And add in my onion. And now that my bell peppers and onions are getting tender, I'm gonna cut up my chicken and add it back in.
What are you making?
Chicken fajitas. Ooh. And I'm just slicing my chicken in long, thin strips. And now I add my chicken in. Give it a little spritz of lime. Add in a little bit of cilantro. Now that it's mostly done cooking. And now it's ready to add to the salad. So tonight our kids have t-ball and baseball practice, so I don't have a lot of time to make a super in-depth meal. So I just need something quick and healthy and full of protein that's gonna keep them full and energized during their practice. So I'm gonna cook some beef sausage with some onions and bell pepper and add in some eggs, and it's a healthy, quick, easy dinner. Step one, as always, is to get my cast iron skillet warming up. All right, so I'm gonna get started on chopping this sausage. I like to slice it in kind of bite-sized pieces so that I don't have to cut it up later for my kids. Just saves me time in the long run. So I'm gonna add this into my cast iron skillet. And the only bag of bell peppers I had left over were some sliced ones from my garden that I did for peppered steak or fajitas. So I'm just gonna take out some of these and chop them more into what I'm wanting, which is more of a dice. Maybe a few more. I'm gonna move these to the side and go ahead and chop up my onion. Not a professional chef, so don't judge my chopping skills. Right? Move that to the side. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of jalapeno for some spice. I'm going to take the seeds out just because my kids, they can handle spice, but not a ton. Not like their mama can. So I'm gonna dice this up. I just want this into really small pieces so that nobody just bites into a huge chunk of jalapeno. these in with my sausage. Gonna add in a little bit of salt. A little bit of pepper. Looks like Merle wants some. Hey Merle. I am going to crack about a dozen eggs for this. I try to think 2 eggs per person with maybe 1 or 2 extra thrown in just in case people are feeling extra hungry. I also try to pick the least dirty eggs from my chickens so that I didn't have to wash them off because I don't have time to do that. I'm going to salt and pepper my eggs as well. I'm gonna add in a little cayenne to my eggs too to add a little bit of kick, but you can skip this part if you do not like spice. So my bell peppers, onions are cooked down. I'm gonna add in my eggs now. I love the color of farm fresh eggs. You just can't beat that deep orange. Also, a metal spatula. It is a lifesaver for a cast iron skillet. My skillet normally doesn't stick like this, so I'll show you guys how I clean it after I finish cooking this, because no matter how well seasoned your skillet may be, sometimes things just stick, and that's okay. Okay, so step 1 is to get some hot water going. And I'm gonna bring my skillet over. This stuck pretty bad, but I just used my metal spatula to scrape it. I'll rinse it out. Scrape a little bit more. And then I will take a brush and scrub around the edges. I used to have a Lodge brush that worked perfectly, and in my superhuman strength I snapped the handle of it, and I just haven't ordered another one. You just want to really get the residue off. Right. I've only got a little bit of residue left. All right, now I'm gonna go put my pan back on the stove. Okay, so I'm gonna turn my stove onto high heat, and I'm going to wipe out this leftover water. And the reason I put it back on the stove is I want all of that to make sure all of the moisture is evaporated from the pan, because that will cause it to rust. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of olive oil. And I'm just gonna use my towel to buff it. So I don't want a lot of residue. I just wanna coat the inside of my pan. And you're gonna think of buffing it like you would waxing a car. I'm just gonna keep buffing it. And there you go. So today I have a house full of sick little children. They have runny noses, sore throats, and a little bit lethargic. At first I thought it might be springtime allergies, but I think they're sick with a cold. So I wanted to make some nutritious chicken and rice soup to kind of warm up their bellies and help their bodies heal. So my chicken and rice soup has onions and garlic, carrots and celery to make it not only nutritious but also delicious, and the brown rice adds that kind of starch that you want in a chicken soup. So hopefully this will aid them in feeling a little bit better. And even though it's springtime weather and soup is the last thing on everybody's mind, sometimes when you're sick, there's nothing like chicken soup. So the first thing I'm gonna do is get some of my veggies chopped and sauteing. And I'm going to turn on my stove to medium-high heat, add in some olive oil, Okay, now that my veggies have sauteed, I'm going to add in some water. I don't have any bone broth. I wish I had some made, because that would be the perfect liquid for this soup. I don't even have any chicken broth on hand from the store. Otherwise I would use that too. I have no problem using that. So I'm just using water, but I will flavor it up enough to where it doesn't taste bland. That is 4 quarts of water that I've added. It may look like a lot right now, but I need to boil the chicken and I still have to add my rice, which is gonna soak up a lot of the liquid. So I'm gonna bring this to a boil and I'm gonna chop up my chicken. And I just want my chicken to be in bite-sized pieces. So I'm just gonna slice it up. Into bite-sized pieces like that. And I will add this to the broth once it's boiling. Okay, I'm going to add my brown rice now. I've got about 1.5 cups of brown rice, and I'm just gonna pour that into my boiling soup. And I'm also going to season my soup again. So I want to add some more salt, a little more pepper. And I'm also going to add some crushed red pepper. Add a little bit of spice. You can skip this if you don't like spice. And you will just let this cook based off of the rice that you use as instructions. So for brown rice, it's usually going to be about 35 minutes. For it to cook. Okay, so for our last and final dinner, I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm gonna cook beef sausage broiled in the oven, and I'm gonna use a little bit of Worcestershire sauce to season it up, and a side of brown rice and broccoli. First things first, I'm gonna get my rice going because it is gonna take, might help if I turn on the right eye, because it's gonna take this the longest. And I'm not gonna walk y'all through how I cook my rice since I did that in one of the earlier meals. This is super easy. I've just got beef smoked sausage, and just gonna open them. I'm gonna cook 2. And I just cut them in about 2-inch lengths. And then I butterfly them. So I'll just put them on my pan just like that. And I've got some Worcestershire sauce, and I'm just going to add that to my sausage. This gives it that nice Worcestershire flavor. Now I will put these into a 350-degree oven. Next, I'm going to cook my broccoli. Sorry, the rice is kind of boiling over. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. I'm going to let my skillet warm up for just a second before I add the broccoli to it. All right. A little warm. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of water to the bottom. And the reason for that is to keep the broccoli from burning and sticking. And then I'm gonna put my lid on and let it cook on low heat. And the steam from that is gonna cook the broccoli through. In the meantime, I'm going to put my oven on broil. And I will keep an eye on the sausages as they get cooked. I like for them to just get a little bit crispier on the top, so I'll keep a close eye on them. I'm gonna add some butter because butter makes everything better. Add a little bit more salt. I found the best way to get my kids to eat broccoli is to season it well, and they are much more likely to eat it.